My name is Carol Jordan. I am an assistant provost and director of the Center for Research on Violence Against Women here at UK, and it's my pleasure on behalf of the center to get to introduce our co-hosts and our speaker today. With your indulgence, though, I'd like to introduce just a couple of other people. These are the kinds of introductions that usually get tagged on to the end, and I think they ought to be up front instead, and that is to introduce to you the center team. And they stuck themselves at the back of the room like they are in timeout or something. I'd like to introduce to you our staff who not only do they keep track of me, which is a miracle, but they help really manage the logistics for today. So I want to introduce them and say thanks to them. Emily Lane is our program coordinator. Lori Dupuis is our administrative coordinator. Adam Pritchard is our research coordinator. And Erica Kalem is our technology coordinator. They're in that back row back there. We also have a couple of our center endowed faculty here. These are folks who are my great colleagues and also help me with leading the academic side of the center. Dr. Claire Renzetti is here. Dr. Renzetti holds the Judy Conway Patton Endowed Chair in the center and is a professor in the Department of Sociology. And Dr. Diane Folingstad holds the Women's Circle Endowed Chair in the center, and she is also a professor of psychology within the Department of Psychiatry, if that makes sense. Now, we are delighted that our invited lecture series this semester begins with a lecture co-hosted by two very esteemed academic groups. I want to introduce them to you and let them come up and give greetings. First of all, the UK College of Law. Now, the College of Law has as its dean now David Brennan. Dean Brennan came here in 2009, and among the many things he has been doing as dean are hanging out with us in the center. And we really appreciate his colleagueship and his partnership on a number of projects already and several that we hope will happen in the future as well. And of course, the dean will be pleased to know that the Women's Law Caucus also helped today to organize and to welcome you all as you came in. These are tomorrow's women lawyers of the world, so we're very appreciative that they helped us today. Also within the College of Arts and Sciences, something extraordinary happened in 2009, and that was formal creation of the Department of Gender and Women's Studies. They are a very quiet, shy group of faculty women, and we're very thrilled with our continuing partnership with them, including today's lecture. And they are represented ably by Dr. Cristina Alcade, so I will ask the dean and Dr. Alcade to come up and give their greetings.
Thank you, Carol. Sometimes I worry if you have enough energy for your job. This is a great event, and I'm very pleased that the College of Law can be a part of it. I have to continue the thanks and acknowledge the great work of the chair of our speakers committee, Sarah Buel, who's very quietly sitting off to the side, but she is a great inspiration for us in terms of bringing in some fabulous speakers. And she, this year, is serving the first year of her 5-year term as the Ashland Distinguished Professor of Law here at the Law School. And that's one of our most distinguished professorships here in the College of Law. So thank you, Sarah, for working on this. I will not be introducing the speaker, but I am going to talk a little bit about the College of Law. I realize that many of you are law students, but many of you are not, and I love to talk about the College of Law. I just spent a year and a half as dean here, and I've traveled throughout the state of Kentucky, gotten to know folks from Paducah over to Bowling Green, over to Ashland, and even Owensboro, and London, and the Chicken Festival, and all those good things that Kentucky is known for. And it's a wonderful state. In addition to that, I've traveled outside the state to high concentrations of UK law grads throughout the country, places like San Francisco and New York and Atlanta and Nashville and Florida. Interestingly, in New York, they have this thing called Kentuckians of New York, so it was a great opportunity to go up there and meet with people who are from Kentucky or associated with the university and now live in New York City. And it was a great event, and they have that every year. And I discover things like that as I travel across the country. although about 4,500 of our alums are in the state of Kentucky, about 2,000 of them are outside the state of Kentucky. And I think it's very important that they know what we're doing here at the College of Law. We've made some great accomplishments here over the past year or so, and we're still in the midst of making some more. We have our first group of students who are now studying in London, England for the semester. 6 brave souls who are spending the entire semester there under the watchful eye of Doug Michael, one of our professors here. So they're having a great time there, and they're sending me reports, and I think everything is going well. We are in the midst of looking for a new full-time director of our legal research and writing program. As any of you who are associated with the law school know, legal research and writing is the bread and butter of what we do as lawyers. And so that program's renovations and changes, I think, will be for the better for the law school. I understand that Melinda Price actually brought her class here, which I think is wonderful. Women in the Law, is it? She's in the middle of eating. Women in the Law class, and so I think that's great that that class is here, and hopefully we'll be able to have the speech done before class time is over. And if you need a tardy note, just stop by my office and I'll see what I can work out. That's really all I have to say about the law school for now. We are having a huge conference on Friday, an all-day event on structural racism. If you haven't heard about it, you've been keeping your head in the sand, so contact our office, look on our website, there's some information on it. It starts at 8:30 in the morning and goes until I think 5 o'clock in the evening. The keynote speaker is John Powell from Ohio State. We have the president of Transylvania coming over to talk to us as well. We have different subject matters involved: anthropology, history, sociology, different universities involved, UK, Transylvania, Eastern Kentucky, etc. So it's a true interdisciplinary event, and I think it'll be a great event. So stop by on Friday. We'll be here all day long, and there's information on our website. Thank you.
Having some sound issues. Can people in the back hear? We can't hear. No, you can't. Can you hear? Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Well, I feel very fortunate to have Sarah Buel here with us. She has a very busy schedule. She's actually flying out right after this. As Carol said, this is a collaborative effort between Gender and Women's Studies, the Center for Research Violence Against Women in the Law School, and I'm very grateful for that. And I hope it's one of many more collaborations in the future. I met Sarah Buel 7 years ago. She was a clinical professor of law at UT Austin Law School, and I was at Southwestern University, right outside of Austin. And she also was very gracious and came and gave a keynote speech then. And I was asked to do the introduction. And I did the introduction, but I remember as I was getting ready to do the introduction, wondering how it would be possible to even begin to do justice to all her accomplishments, because I had about 2-3 minutes to do the whole introduction. Today I won't be doing the introduction. Carol Jordan has that impossible task. But I do want to say that just as I was 7 years ago, I was really excited to hear her. I'm also really excited today that we can all listen to her and learn from someone who's really so passionate, but also knowledgeable, and has this incredible sense of calm and inspiration and passion all at once, an incredible experience about social justice, human rights issues, and violence against women. So thank you for coming.
Through our lecture this year, we as co-hosts wanted to make 3 very important points about the victimization of girls and women. First of all, it turns out, this may surprise you, this isn't a Kentucky problem. Well, let me say it another way. It isn't just a Kentucky problem. This is a crisis of global proportion, and so our series this year, beginning today, will focus on violence against women as an international problem. Secondly, the victimization of girls and women is not static in its design. It is not shrinking in its dimensions, and so if you're going to even begin to understand it, you have to constantly be aware of cutting-edge issues, of trends that are threatening the safety of our global citizenry. So for that reason, we are bringing you today and throughout the series this semester the issue of human trafficking. The lecture today will focus on legal issues associated with human trafficking. Lectures next week and in March will focus on health issues and cultural issues that relate to sex trafficking as well. The third point is just simply a reminder about the complexity of the issue of violence against women generally and human trafficking specifically. It's a legal issue, it is a health issue, mental health issue, economic, social justice, diplomacy, and so much more. So if you look around very much, you're going to see sitting next to you faculty and students from 10 different academic units across campus, because they know this is an issue that impacts their scholarly studies and their scholarly work. And also, if you look around for very much longer, you're not going to just see academics. You're going to see attorneys who are practicing out in the field. You're going to see folks from the Attorney General's office, from rape crisis centers and domestic violence programs, from human trafficking task forces and other places as well, because this is also an issue of advocacy and intervention as well as academics. See, it's awfully complicated, so if you're going to have something so complicated, you've got to look around and find a really good person to come in and talk about all of that. And so as we who are co-hosting today begin to think about that, the first person who came to mind, of course, was Professor Sarah Buel. Professor Buel has worked in our field on behalf of battered women and children for well over 30 years. She is currently director of the Diane Hall Center for Family Justice in the Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law at Arizona State University. Prior to that position, Professor Buel spent 14 years as clinical professor at the University of Texas Law School. There she founded the Domestic Violence Clinic, and she co-founded the University of Texas Institute on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault, which is an interdisciplinary institute. In 1997, she co-founded the National Center on Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault. She's also a practitioner. Before going to Texas, she spent years as a prosecutor in the Middlesex County, Massachusetts District Attorney's Office, where she founded and headed domestic violence units, special prosecution units. Her legal acumen and advocacy on behalf of battered women is present in the appellate courts across this country, and her scholarship is now present in universities nationwide. In addition to being a highly respected advocate and scholar, Sarah is nothing short of an inspiration. As a single mother and survivor of intimate partner violence, she worked full-time while going back to school to get her degree and then graduating from the Harvard Law School. So with no further ado, it is a deep honor to introduce to you Professor Sarah Buel.
We decided not to take any chances and wire me up so that be sure everybody can hear. I'll just have to take this along. So I'm here to, plus then I can move a little closer. I can be like Oprah. Oh, but you're trying to film, so you don't want me walking all over, do you? Oh, well, this guy will stay awake more if I'm walking around, won't you? Okay. This way anybody's dozing, I can come and talk to you, call on people. What do you think about this? So I want to start out with, oh, maybe it's not happy, with this idea, necessitamos soñar, that people say, how can you do this work for 33 years? Aren't you burnt out? Aren't you tired of all these sad stories? Oh, I am just getting started, as I told the woman who was yelling at me in the courthouse. She heads a domestic violence program, and she was saying that I am out of control. I am an out of control advocate because I don't let go of victims. Well, if their abuser doesn't let go of them, if their trafficker doesn't let go of them, you bet I'm going to hang in there with them. And if that's being an out-of-control advocate, I will proudly take that mantle. But I am getting older, so I am so excited to see all these students here. We need you to get fired up about these issues, and so fired up that you want to say, yes, that will be my life work, or at the very least, I will write a lot of checks so other people can do this work. But we want you to have a role and to have this sense of hope in doing this work, to not buy into all the negative ideas that this is just too overwhelming and you're never going to stop human trafficking, you're never going to stop family violence, you're never going to stop sexual assault. Well, maybe that's true, but who knows? Because it turns out that anthropologists have found three indigenous communities throughout the world, fascinating that none of them are in what would be considered industrialized nations, where there is no family violence, apparently no sexual assault. High up in the mountains in the state of Chiapas in Mexico, are indigenous group that Methodist missionaries have lived near for 300 years. and they say there has never been a homicide, there is no domestic violence, there's no sexual assault, there's virtually no crime. To the extent that people act out a little bit, there's kind of community shaming that gets people back in line. So we have some good models out there. So this is not completely ridiculous.